you have made your intellect your own God. So you have more faith in your intellect, and you've made your own intellect your own God. So you're just as guilty as these other people.
I agree, and I
Or at
think
least you agree. So then
no, I do
you
agree. I do
replace
agree with
one
you.
God for another God, and it's the God of your mind. In other words, your own intellect is your own God, because that
Yeah.
governs to you what is true. So
So
you make
so
the
so
standard, right?
so how yeah so how can I break that? How can I have more faith
I
in?
mean, I don't have a magic solution to tell you how
Oh
to.
no, yeah,
Keep studying, keep researching, keep looking at the evidence for the historicity of the Christian faith, the evidence for the historicity of Jesus and his crucifixion and burial, because
yeah.
even atheist scholars
Hmm.
who are not radical leftist mythicists who will tell
Mm,
you, yes, the historical Jesus existed, and yes, his followers exist. We have evidence, if we're going to do serious history, to show that, like Barterman, who's an atheist who tries to destroy faith in Christianity. And so we
right.
know as a fact that Jesus was killed by crucifixion. We also know as a fact that his own followers were convinced that they saw him alive physically and that he was alive in heaven physically, and that started the Christian movement. So keep studying the
Yeah,
historical evidence for the birth of Christianity. Just go and
yeah.
go on
I mean, I
YouTube.
do. Yeah, I do have my own. I
Your
don't
own,
know.
yeah.
No,
Say
when I
again.
started
No, no, no,
reading,
say again. No,
I've
finish
had
the
my
thought.
own experience. I've had my own experience
With
when I
what?
was reading. Well, when I was reading the Bible, when I read the first 10 pages of it. I only got it recently. I read the first 10 pages. I
Okay,
started at
what was your
Genesis.
experience?
Well, it was quite an interesting one, something I've never had. I start after finishing just 10 pages. I was starting to tear up in my
Good.
eyes, and I
Praise
didn't.
God.
I've never read anything, and it's made me upset like that. And it wasn't like it was a sad thing. It just this is what I didn't understand. It just made me upset. So there is. I spoke to a family member about it afterwards, just because it was something interesting. But yeah, there's like a like the way I asked you the question the first time. Sorry about that. I didn't mean for it to come across
Well,
that
no,
way.
it already, even the way you asked it, that's fine. But it already is clear to you. You've made your intellect the standard of truth. You said it. Well, it wasn't satisfactory to me. So then, what will be satisfactory? Now, if you say, well, historical artifacts like papyri, manuscripts,
Hmm.
where we know that these books were already in circulation in the second century, because we have papyri that have been discovered of the books of the New Testament from the second century, third, fourth century. So that means if these are copies, that means the original must be older, so that we know these books were in circulation. And then we have writings of churchmen that are citing these
Hmm.
books
Yeah.
as in existence from which they derive theology. So I don't know, what more evidence do you want? Are you
No,
saying
that
logical confirmation? Well, there are Expedition Bible. There's a YouTube channel where this man, his entire channel is devoted to showing you the actual archaeological discoveries
yeah.
that shows the historicity of the Old and New Testaments.
Yeah.
Expedition Bible.
The problem is with me,
Problem.
but the problem is with me, but
Well, then I
like
can't cure that. Only the Holy
oh
Spirit.
no, I know, but like I said, I most of my life I haven't been religious at all, really. I guess you could
Okay.
say agnostic or whatever, but
Well, let
I
me
think the
correct you.
problem. Yeah. Okay.
Religion is not simply belief, but it's also a set of rites and practices that you
Yeah.
do in devotion of a deity. You have been religious. You've been devoted to yourself and intellect.
Right. Okay.
So
So
you've done things
the wrong type.
to appease
Mm,
your own intellect, because your intellect became your own God and became an idol. So you were
okay.
religious, but the wrong kind.
So I have another question, if I can.
Go ahead.
Yeah. So because of where I came from, I guess now you said I was kind of religious towards my own intellect, but um, and I don't mean this in a rude way, and I don't want to offend you or anyone here. But
Oh, no.
but when you don't believe in, I guess Jesus or God for a long time, and you grow up with all this kind of technology around you, like I did, and I wasn't introduced to the Bible from a young age. When you read some of the things that happen, or you hear, like you, for example, you talk about things that happen, stories in the Bible. It's hard to uh, it's hard to believe it in a way, and I hope you don't take that the wrong way,
Because
because
you
it's
have already
I've
assumed from your
mhm,
frame of reference, from
yeah.
your experience, well, these things are not possible because I haven't experienced them. So who's the standard again of what can and cannot happen?
I guess the standard is me
You
again.
again.
So there's the
Unless
problem.
you are God and all knowing and have
Mhm.
perfect knowledge of past, not just the present, how do you know what can and cannot take place? and what
Yeah.
is and what isn't possible. How do you know this?
I don't,
Yeah.
but I see your point now.
So your problem is you've made yourself your own standard, your own idol, your own God. Well, that's too hard to believe. Why? Oh, because we don't experience. Well, that's why it's called a miracle. A miracle means it's not a repeated occurrence. If it was a
Yeah.
repeated occurrence, we wouldn't take it as a miracle.
Right. Okay.
So it comes
That
down
makes
to your
sense.
worldview, right?
Yeah.
So if you believe there's a personal creator God and that this creator God can intervene in creation and do these miraculous feats, then what's the problem? The problem with you is that you see things that you take for granted and don't see how miraculous they are. Here, I'll give you an
Yeah.
example. You
Okay.
see birth every day, right? So you take it for granted. It's nothing really
Of
out of the
course.
ordinary, miraculous,
Right.
right?
Yeah. It happens all the time.
Okay, but let's now really break down that even what you think is
Hmm.
something normal and natural
Yeah.
is supernatural because you're telling me
Yeah.
from a sperm and an egg,
Yeah.
when they come together, it creates a brand new life and a completely unique personality.
Yeah.
And you don't see anything miraculous about that?
I do. I do. But
You have siblings?
yeah. I do. Yes, I do. Yeah.
So you came from the same father and mother?
Not my.
Okay.
I
Which of your
yeah.
siblings? You have siblings from the same father and mother?
Yes, I have. I have one from the same
You
father and
have,
mother.
so the one that you have from the same father and mother, you both
Yeah.
came into being through the same act of sex, and yet why
Yeah.
are you so completely different?
It's just
How did that
something that.
sperm and that
Yeah.
egg create a unique personality?
Yeah.
Can you explain that
I
to me
can't
next
explain.
question?
I can't explain that to you. And I'm guessing there's.
So
Yeah.
here's a miracle taking place before your eyes, but because it's a natural occurrence, you don't think it's miraculous. See, this is the problem with your mindset. Even
Yeah.
that which you take for granted, you see daily,
Yeah.
which you think is just part of uh, the norm, it's just part of the natural realm, is
Yeah.
actually supernatural because how the hell does a sperm and an egg create a unique life with a unique personality, and you and I can come from the same father and mother,
Hmm.
same act of sex, and completely different. And you don't
Yeah.
see that this is supernatural in and of itself.
Well, I do now. Oh, you've opened my eyes a lot actually. Now that
That's my point.
just this simple
Your
discussion
thinking,
has made me. Yeah. Yeah.
your thinking, your
Okay.
thinking is such that, well, these things happen every day, and since someone being raised from the dead doesn't happen in today, it can't happen. Whereas a lot of what takes place in front of you is itself a miracle that you cannot explain.
Mm,
For
yeah.
example, okay, why is it you can breathe on planet Earth, but if you leave the atmosphere, you die?
There's
What is
no.
it about Earth? Because it's in space, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so if you leave the Earth and enter space, no oxygen, you die and you float away, right?
Hmm.
Then what is it about Earth that's suspended in space that allows you to breathe and live? When
Yeah.
it's mixed with,
I can't answer that. It's
but you take that for granted because life
right.
is.
Yeah. 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 No.
Ah,
No. That.
well.
Yeah. No.
And by
That
the
makes a
way,
lot of sense. Yeah.
now you want modern proof that the dead can be raised? You have it
I
today
mean,
happening in front of your eyes. How many people you know clinically dead, heart stop, brain stop, and they're resuscitated?
yeah. Yeah. That does happen. Yeah. Yeah.
So if it can happen today because we
Yeah.
have the technology to do it,
Yeah.
why would you then think that God cannot do that without technology?
See, and this is, I guess, this is where it comes back to my faith in God, right? And me trying to have myself as the my intellect
Exactly.
as the standard. Yeah.
That's the point.
So
So
you've
what's
made you
happening?
no. So yeah, like I said, I am serious about doing this.
You
You
got to
know, like
change your mindset. That's what I'm trying to show you. Change
of course, yeah.
your mindset. The problem is with your mindset, not the evidence, because
Mm,
Jesus stood in front of people who saw the miracles and they still rejected him. So it's
yeah.
not the evidence, it's your assumption, your mindset. Because if Jesus stood today in front of us and did the miracles that he did,
Yeah.
let's just
Yeah.
assume, because you still don't know if it's true or not, let's assume it's true. Jesus walked here, did miracles.
Hmm.
If miracles in of themselves could produce faith, then how do you explain the fact there were people who saw the miracles and still had him killed and didn't believe?
Well, this, yeah, I guess this is it. I mean, it's very easy. It's very easy I can understand now why people like me might not be able to believe it, especially since, like you said, there were people that saw it with their own eyes and didn't believe it.
That's my
So
point.
yeah,
It has nothing to do with evidence because you can witness a miracle and still explain it away
it's
and
yeah,
still find a way not to believe. That's what they did. So this is my point. Your problem is not the evidence. Your problem is you, your mind.
a closed mind, closed-minded at the
That's it.
moment. But
So
yeah,
when you change your mind and it'll be
mm,
open, then you'll see how clear and irrefutable God's existence is because your existence is proof of God's existence. Your
yeah,
conception is proof of God's existence because, again, just the miracle of life, how do you explain it naturally? That a sperm and an egg comes together. You and I, let's say we have the same parents, but we came out differently. How is that? How do you explain that act of sex producing a brand new human life with a unique personality?
you can't, and that's something I've always thought because there are there are scientific explanations and stuff that I don't really pay attention to because I'm not interested in that.
Another thing.
But I guess you're talking about the soul. That's always something
No,
that's
I'm not even talking about the soul. I'm
no,
talking about
okay.
you. Do you have the same personality as your sibling who came into the world from the same set of parents?
No, we don't. But I believe that must be that's a soul, right? I
Okay,
mean,
well now
yeah,
you're now talking metaphysical. I was just talking in the natural realm.
right. Okay, no,
Talking
yeah,
about
yeah,
naturalistically. Yeah,
yeah,
I do
yeah,
believe in the soul, but I'm talking
yeah,
about this without the metaphysics of the soul. I'm just
yeah,
talking about naturalistically. You and your sibling, same parents, but you are night and day.
yeah. Okay, yeah, and
Not
that
only
makes
that,
sense.
even scientists will tell you that the Earth's positioning from the sun is at a perfect distance, 93 million miles, right?
Yeah, I guess they would say that. Yeah,
Yeah, they would say that. They
but
say
how?
any
How?
closer and the Earth would be burned up, right?
Mm, yeah,
Any further and the Earth would freeze up. Now, how do
yeah,
you explain the perfect positioning and placement of the Earth in relation to the sun, where it's not any closer and it would be at 1 degree, it'd burn up, or closer, or 1 degree further, it would freeze up. Now, this is something you take advantage because the earth exists and you live in it, but you never question how miraculous that is.
yeah. That's true. That's
So
amazing when you
change
think
your
about it.
mindset, then we can talk about evidence. Until then, I can't do much for you because I can't change your mindset. That's the work of the
Well,
spirit.
I don't really feel like I need evidence anymore because it's just this small conversations kind
Okay.
of
Glory
yeah.
to God.